Welcome to the Compliance Officers Playbook podcast. Today, our mission is to really cut through the noise on a subject that sits right at the intersection of global commerce, high-level politics, and, of course, international organized crime. We're doing a deep dive into a really sprawling investigation. It's all about how the world's most legitimate, high-volume supply chains, we're talking about the global banana trade, specifically became profoundly, and it seems permanently linked to international drug trafficking. It's the ultimate case of hiding millions of dollars of illicit cargo in plain sight.
Among billions of dollars of legal goods.
Exactly. We've got a stack of sources we're dissecting today, and they detail how the family firm of the current Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa was allegedly captured and used by these powerful Balkan crime syndicates. And they used it to smuggle just massive quantities of cocaine right into the heart of Europe.
And I think it's important to say our focus isn't just the scandal itself, it's the structure.
The structure, yes.
We are connecting three vital but, seemingly disparate elements for you. You've got the sheer volume of Latin American fruit exports.
Okay.
Then you have the critical role of these highly encrypted communication tools like Sky ECC.
The tech angle.
And finally, the sophisticated, almost modular hierarchy of Balkan organized crime. When you see how tightly woven these pieces are, you realize this isn't just opportunistic.
Not at all.
This is an engineered deep dive into the vulnerabilities of the entire global supply chain.
And the central detail, the one that's frankly jaw-dropping and puts a spotlight on all of this, it comes from those decrypted chats.
Yeah.
Traffickers were allegedly captured bragging that they had exclusive rights to load cocaine into containers shipped by Noboa Trading Co.
Wow.
The firm associated with President Noboa's family. So they weren't just using the company, they were claiming a monopoly on corruption inside of it.
An exclusive deal.
Okay, so let's unpack exactly how investigators even got to this stunning claim. To really get how significant this is, we have to start with the tool they were using. Sky ECC.
Right.
For years, this was the platform for organized crime across Europe and Latin America. It promised total, untraceable security, a digital sanctuary for them.
Exactly. And that feeling of, being untouchable, that's why the evidence is so damning. When European investigators finally managed to decrypt the Sky ECC network back in 2021, it wasn't just finding a smoking gun.
No.
It was like finding the blueprints, the meeting minutes, and the signed contracts all at once. The criminals, because they thought their chats were unbreakable, basically wrote their own confessions.
And the key piece of evidence we're looking at today, it comes from these confidential Croatian prosecution documents. They captured a conversation between two individuals who are only identified by their anonymous Sky ECC EIs, and they were just openly boasting that no one but them was allowed to load cocaine into containers shipped by Noboa Trading Co.
And what's so fascinating is the implication behind that phrase, exclusive rights.
Right.
I mean, that suggests so much more than a simple one-off bribe to a port worker.
Oh, way more.
It implies a systemic capture of a really high-level logistical process. The ability to guarantee access to refrigerated containers, which are prime targets, right, because of their speed and volume, just before they left the secure zone.
And the power of this investigation is just in the details. Journalists started cross-referencing this digital intel, and they were able to put names to those anonymous pins.
And who did they find?
The main figure they identified is Nikola Đorđević. His Sky ECC PIN was F0804D. He's an alleged organized crime figure, a Serbian fugitive, and he'd already been indicted in a totally different cocaine smuggling case back in Serbia.
So not a small player.
Not at all. So you have an alleged Serbian drug trafficker in Ecuador bragging about exclusive access to one of the world's biggest banana exporters.
Which is managed by the family of the future president.
Exactly. So the big question is, was this just bravado or was this operationally true?
And the sources confirm it was operationally true. The fact that they could compromise the logistics like this, it suggests a profound systemic penetration of the supply chain process right at the source.
And they weren't being vague.
No, the chatter wasn't vague at all. They basically provided a roadmap to their own crimes, almost daring law enforcement to check their work.
And this is where we move from just criminal chatter to, hard evidence.
Okay.
The traffickers didn't just talk in generalities. They named 3 specific shipments. They gave the exact date, the ship's name, and the container numbers they used.
So they gave them everything they needed to verify it.
Everything, which allowed investigators to check their claims against real-world export data. And the most specific and frankly egregious example cited in the sources, it involves a massive 430-kilogram load of cocaine.
Wow.
Hidden in container MEDU 9747725, the traffickers specified it left Ecuador on January 25th.
And did it.
When reporters checked the shipping logs, they confirmed it. Noboa Trading Co. had indeed shipped that exact container full of bananas on that precise date.
That's the smoking gun.
That is the smoking gun. It validates the entire exclusive rates claim.
And we really have to talk about the scale here, because this wasn't some small-time operation.
No.
Just those 3 investigated shipments alone totaled 535 kilograms of cocaine.
Which is, what's the street value on that?
To put that in perspective, that volume carries a, let's say, conservative European street value of at least 26 million euros.
26 million.
And we can actually trace the journey. It starts at Guayaquil Port in Ecuador, a huge global hub for fruit exports, often loaded onto ships like the MSC Morella.
Okay.
The route usually goes through intermediary ports, maybe Panama, before it crosses the Atlantic. Then it hits Italy, specifically the port of Giulietoro.
And then from there,
Final destinations in southeastern Europe, like the Croatian ports of Ploče or Rijeka.
that kind of scale, 535 kilos of high-value cargo, it just demands extreme logistical precision.
Oh, and specialization.
Exactly, specialization. And that's why we should spend a minute on what this organized crime expert Anna Soji calls the modular criminal supply chain.
This concept is so crucial to understanding modern global crime.
It really is.
These operations aren't run by one big, centralized mafia family anymore, handling everything from A to Z.
Right.
Instead, they're modular. You have groups that specialize solely in origin stuffing, like Đorđević's group in Ecuador. Their whole job is to compromise the container and load the product.
And that's it?
That's it. Then you have completely different groups that specialize in maritime logistics, securing safe passage, corrupting officials in transit ports.
Okay.
And then finally, you have local distribution networks, often based in the Balkans, that handle the offloading and transport across Europe. These modules basically sell their specialized capabilities as a service.
And that must make them incredibly resilient.
Highly resilient. Because if you bust one module, say, the Croatian offloading team.
It doesn't collapse the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Ecuador stuffing team just finds a new buyer for their services.
That's fascinating. It really shows how criminals are just exploiting the globalized economy's own efficiency. So while Đorđević's team was mastering the origin stuffing in Ecuador, we need to shift our focus to the other end, the European side, the offloading.
Right. Who's picking it up?
And that responsibility fell to a specific Croatian group, allegedly led by a man named Peter Isic.
Okay.
And Osic is a pretty significant figure himself. He's currently on trial in Croatia for aggravated murder and smuggling hundreds of kilos of cocaine,
And some of that was.
some of which was discovered in these very same Noboa banana containers.
Wow. But that decentralized structure you mentioned, it also reveals a centralized command, right?
Exactly. The investigation into the Sky ECC chats revealed that Osic, the guy managing the really dangerous European offloading part of this,
Yeah.
he wasn't the final authority. He was taking operational orders through Sky ECC from a much, much larger figure in Balkan organized crime.
So who's the puppet master?
Right. If Osic is running the show on the ground in Croatia, who's big enough to be dictating these massive cross-border operations? Who's overseeing 26 million euros worth of cocaine?
That figure is Darko Šarić, a very high-profile convicted Montenegrin drug lord.
Okay.
And here is the truly shocking element. He was allegedly managing this multi-million euro international criminal organization from behind bars.
From prison.
From prison, using his encrypted Sky ECC device, which was identified by the PIN to MIPSK. And this raises a just terrifying question for law enforcement everywhere. How can these deeply centralized multinational crime operations keep functioning, even when their supposed leader is locked up?
And again, it's that meticulous connecting of the dots that allowed them to make this ID. Journalists matched Šarić's anonymous PIN to MIPSK, which was in the Croatian prosecution files.
Right, the ones detailing the orders to Osic.
Exactly. They matched that to Serbian prosecution files from two completely different cases involving Šarić. It just shows how critical that cross-jurisdictional intel sharing really is. Okay, so we have to put all of this in a political context because these revelations, they land at a particularly complex and awkward time for Ecuador.
To say the least.
Noboa Trading Co. is the family firm of the current Ecuadorian President, Daniel Noboa, who has built his entire political platform as an anti-drug crusader.
He's declared a state of internal armed conflict, right?
He has, against what he calls narco-terrorists, even appealing to the U.S. and European armies for military assistance.
So this creates a significant political liability, and the structural ties here are deep. The president's father, Álvaro Noboa, leads this powerful conglomerate. And while Daniel Noboa denies any personal involvement, he was once the youngest shipping director in the company's history. The political scrutiny started well before these Sky ECC leaks even came out.
That's right. The opposition candidate, Luisa González, she hammered him during the debates over prior reports of drug seizures.
Because this wasn't the first time.
Not by a long shot. The sources show that between 2020 and 2022, nearly 700 kilograms of cocaine were seized from just 3 Noboa trading containers at Guayaquil port. This wasn't a single incident. It was a repeated, costly breach of their security.
And President Noboa's defense, which is, understandable from a legal perspective, it doesn't really address the operational liability.
How so?
He stated very firmly that he is not the owner, but members of my family are. And he claimed the company was fully cooperative and was exonerated in those previous seizures.
But the core issue remains.
Exactly. The core issue remains. Whether or not management was complicit, the company's infrastructure was repeatedly penetrated to an extent that let traffickers claim exclusive rights.
And if we dive into those structural ties, the source material, it gets complex. The ownership links track back through a Panamanian firm called Lenfranco Holding. And the Pandora Papers leak showed that it was transferred to Daniel and his brother, Juan Sebastian, way back in 2015. It just underscores this global, opaque nature of ownership that can make accountability so difficult.
But the truly crucial insight here, and this is shared by organized crime experts, is that the focus needs to shift beyond proving what management knew.
To proving what?
To proving systemic vulnerability. The findings point to fundamental security failures at Ecuador's main port of Guayaquil.
So it's bigger than just one company.
Much bigger. We're talking about weak security controls, highly opaque contracting of third-party packers, and informal gate practices.
What does an informal gate practice even look like?
It means criminals can essentially buy access to the physical process. They can bypass formal inspections, they can secure a specific time window, or they can corrupt the personnel who manage the seals on those refrigerated containers. It's a profound security failure that lets criminals capture the process with control over the physical container stuffing and departure.
So what does all of this mean for you, our listeners, trying to navigate a world where supply chains are just getting more and more complex? This investigation is really a textbook example of why critical thinking is so necessary to understand global trade security. The most legitimate, highest volume exports, like Bonita bananas from the world's largest exporter, are actually perfect camouflage for criminal operations.
Precisely because of their scale and frequency.
Exactly. And what stands out to me in this analysis is how the drug movement has evolved to counter law enforcement. Better interdiction at traditional hubs like Spain and the Netherlands has forced these gangs to pivot.
To secondary entry points.
A secondary entry point.
That's absolutely right. Croatia, with its 6 commercial ports on the Adriatic coast, has become a significantly more popular destination for cocaine entering Europe. And this reflects the powerful Balkan gangs like those allegedly led by Šarić, firmly establishing a major foothold. And when you just look at the economics, Noboa Trading's own export data shows they sent $190 million worth of exports to Croatia between 2014 and 2024.
So they are right in the middle of this flow.
Directly in the middle of this burgeoning criminal phenomenon. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, given the sobering claim by one former U.S. DEA agent that as much as 70% of the cocaine consumed in Europe is now exported from Ecuador.
70%.
We have to look inward at our global infrastructure. We have to ask, are systemic vulnerabilities in the global shipping process, the weak port controls, the opaque logistics, the ability for criminals to just buy exclusive access to a container, are these the single greatest, most difficult to solve threat to supply chain integrity worldwide? That question is worth deep consideration the next time you see a shipping container passing by on the highway.
That's a powerful thought to end on. And look, we know you've just listened to our full deep dive. And for those of you who want to keep having these kinds of conversations and support the work we do here, we'd like to invite you to become a paid subscriber. It's just $5. That subscription really helps us keep the show going, and it unlocks some additional perks and access for you as well. Your support means the world to us and allows us to continue bringing you this kind of in-depth analysis. Thank you for tuning in to the Compliance Officers Playbook podcast.